Welcome, 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 welcome to the
Yes.
I love how you did the head bop with me. Thank you.
I mean, I've listened. I know what's coming.
Oh my God. First off, welcome. I have an amazing, beautiful friend, Nicole. Hi. Thank you for honoring this invitation. It means the world way more than you know to me. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I was really sad when I had to reschedule our original, so I'm glad we finally got to make this happen.
Yay. First off, I wanted to ask you, I know today is Monday. How was your
It is
weekend?
Monday. My weekend was great. So we have been traveling for the last 3 weeks. We had did my husband's family has a huge Thanksgiving, and so
Ah.
we drove to North Carolina, and we're lucky enough to have some friends along the way.
You
So
came here?
we are you in North Carolina? I don't even know where I live half the time. I mean,
Oh, it's okay, but carry on.
but but yeah, no. So we drove out. We stayed with some friends in St. Louis. We stayed with some friends in Charlotte. Then we met up with a family in Chapel Hill, and then we drove back and stayed in St. Louis. And then we got to be temporary residents of Boonville, Missouri. Because we got caught on the wrong side of a pretty nasty snowstorm in our little two-wheel drive minivan that we had rented with all-season tires. And when you watch semi trucks fall off the highway in front of you and you see snowplows in ditches, you very quickly say, this isn't safe. So, what's the closest hotel room? And the closest hotel room had 2.8 stars and reports of bed bugs. So, I was like, what's the next closest hotel room? So, we got to stay in the Isle of Capri Casino in Boonville, Missouri. And they were lovely. And there was a restaurant, and my kids had everything they needed, and we were safe. And the next day, we got on the road and drove in completely clear roads. And we're really grateful for our safety. So, and then we got home. We were home for a whole day, and then left again. And my in-laws had paid for a room for us at the Great Wolf Lodge down in Colorado Springs because my older son, who just turned 16, he has Fragile X syndrome and, doesn't really care about regular birthday things, but he loves the water and he loves that water park. And it's an amazing place. So, and they're autism certified. Like, they know what the heck they're doing. So it was an amazing weekend. I'm
Oh
tired and
my
I'm ready to be
God.
home.
That sounds like so much fun. What really stood out in the whole, like the road trip, the Thanksgiving experience? What stood out to you in that whole experience?
I mean, really, it was just the reason we do it. We could fly, right? But if we fly, like if we gain efficiency in our travel, but we give up the chance to reconnect with all of our friends who kind of live along the way. And that's something we look forward to every year. Last year, we actually hosted Thanksgiving, and that was really fun. And we really loved having everyone here, and it was easier for us because home turf is always easier for my son. And we missed out on the chance to like see our friends along the way, and it just kind of felt like something was missing, so we were really glad to bring that back this year. I mean, most people think we're insane for doing what is essentially a 24-hour each way road trip,
Wow.
but the boys are great, and we listen to audiobooks in the car and we connect around
Ah,
stories, and so it's
ah,
it's just it really is this like connection that
yeah.
matters for that.
Oh my God. Speaking of audiobooks, I love me a good audiobook on a road trip. What was the fave audiobook you guys listened to back and forth?
So I've been listening to all of the Percy Jackson books with my younger son, but we are on the very end of the second to last book of the Apollo series. Like, we're almost done with that series. And my husband hasn't listened to any of the Apollo books. So we were like, okay, well, let's, not drag him in at the end of the story. So we decided to listen to Ready Player One. Because it has all of these like super
It's a
cool
great
movies that
movie too.
oh, it's a better book.
Oh, for real?
Like,
Okay, girl.
oh yeah, no. I mean, there's always like this cliche, like the book is better, but the book is way better. There are so many, just like especially our age group. Like these are
Yeah.
references from like our childhood and our like older cousins and aunts and uncles' childhoods, and so things that we grew up with because either like our cousins were constantly exposing them to us, or they were like the things that were going on for us. So it's a real fun trip back into childhood. And so, we listened to that, and my youngest, who is 8, some of the themes are kind of a little bit above his head, but there's a lot of things that he has a lot of cultural literacy because we exposed him to all of these like sort of nerdy things from our own childhood and teenage years, and he gets a lot of jokes that other kids don't get. I mean, a lot of our friends' kids get them because they have the same nerdy parents that my kids have. but it was fun. So yeah, Ready Player One was the one that we listened to for most of the drive when we were
Ah,
listening.
oh my God. That is I've only watched the movie and I
Listen to
thoroughly.
the audiobook. It's Will Wheaton is the person who does the narration.
Wow. Okay. Good
It's
to
the
know.
perfect
Mental
narrator,
note.
right?
Oh my God. But I think I started reading the book probably a few months ago, but I didn't finish it. But I thoroughly enjoyed the theme of the movie.
Yeah.
I do want to say, and I don't say this lightly, Nicole, you have kind eyes.
Oh, thank you.
No, sir. Like, and I
Do
don't
you
like you have kind eyes.
do you know how long it took me to be able to accept kindness as a compliment? Because I grew up in a very performative part of the country. I mean, you're in North Carolina. Like the South is very, very much about your external presentation, how
Right.
you talk, how you act. Like the acts matter more than the intentions. And that's true, like, I mean, of humans, right? Like we can't read each other's minds. We can only see what each other do. And so I'm so used to thinking of kindness as the people like the Mother Teresas of the world who just sort of like
Uh,
present themselves with all of their giving and their like constant, just sort of baseline kindness. And
right.
my second language is sarcasm. So it's hard to believe that those things can coexist. And I think it was only a
Um,
couple of years ago that I began to realize that in fact they could. So thank you.
yeah. Oh, man. That's a good segue. I do want to ask you from your perspective, what does kindness and compassion mean to you from Nicole's point of view?
So I think that there's kind of a parent of all of fun and compassion and kindness, right? That like sort of is a prerequisite definitely for compassion and kindness, and for me for the kind of fun I have for fun. And that really is imagination, because compassion is sort of the way you think about yourself and others, and kindness is the way you act towards yourself and others. And without imagination, you're only capable of being compassionate and kind to other people who are like you. And I say that because you need imagination to be able to look at the actions or the ideas of someone else, and their actions or ideas that you don't agree with. You need imagination to be able to conceive of a world where they can make a decision that's different from the decision you would make, and you not be wrong and them not be wrong. Right? Like we get really attached to the idea that we're making the right choices. But that is propped up on so many assumptions and so many cultural norms and so many life experiences that every individual brings into any room with them. And what is right for me today may not even be right for me tomorrow. And what is right for me today is almost guaranteed not to be what's right for you today. And you just need imagination to be able to extend compassion and kindness to anybody else. And growing up in absolute poverty, you need an imagination to have fun too.
Wow. Thank you. That was such a beautiful perspective on actually fun, compassion, and I think I've never really like put those three together with that thread. So thank you for sharing your beautiful insights on those. I really appreciate you.
I've been
Uh,
I've been thinking about it, right? I cheated. I did homework. I've been listening to the podcast. And so I've been thinking, like, in the back of my mind, like, all of these things have been sort of boiling around, and like, what do these have in common? And like, why do I care about these things, and how did I
Right.
come to the ability to carry compassion? Because I remember, so I had this running joke that if you have children, your children are guaranteed to act in a way to punish you for every single judgy, my kids will never stupid thing you said when you were younger. So if you're out there in, podcast world listening and you're walking through grocery stores judging moms whose kids are in the middle of a meltdown, let me tell you that's going to come back at you. Like someday, someday you will know what that parent is going through. Um,
Mm.
and I say that because I have this really sharp, clear memory of being 16 years old. I just started driving. I mean, I got my license in May, and this was in the summer, so it was like June, July, like early. And my grandmother had sent me to the grocery store, and she had sent me to the grocery store with this like list of things that were written in her truly chicken scratch handwriting. And I was trying to decipher whether she wanted soup or soap. And I'm like, what am I writing here?
You're
And no, we
so
didn't have cell phones, right? I couldn't like pick up a cell phone and call her and be like, Nonna, did you want soup or soap? And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna buy both because I don't know what she wants, and if I go home with the wrong one, I'm just gonna be right back at the food line like an hour later. So cool. And in the
Oh,
aisle next to me, I hear this kid just like hit the floor and start screaming. And his mom was standing next to him and going, Jason, honey, mommy doesn't like that. Jason, honey. And in my head, my little 16-year-old head, and keep in mind, I'm an exennial, like I was born in 1980, raised in a very, very different era where we didn't know what we were doing as parents, or I wasn't a parent then, but parents didn't know what they were doing. And in my head, all I could think was, honey, like pick that kid up and swat his butt. Don't let him throw it fit in the middle of the grocery store. I didn't know shit. That's what I can tell you. Because in hindsight,
wow.
as someone who is a parent and as someone who is a parent of special needs children, I
Mm.
can now recognize what sensory overwhelm looks like. And I
Wow.
can tell you that mom was doing everything in her power
Yeah.
to hold her crap together and keep herself calm so that she could calm her child and just get out of the situation. And, as someone who has, as a parent, gone back home and been exposed to that exact attitude, if you don't have imagination, you can't imagine a world where there's a different explanation for what you are witnessing than the explanation you're familiar with. And it is like that story, that memory. I can see the piece of paper. I can
Wow.
smell the smells in the grocery store. And
Wow.
I at the time had no idea why that memory was so sharp because it was that sharp that day. And, a decade later I was like, "Oh, this is why that memory stuck with me."
Yeah. And the fact that you remembered his name, Jason, that
Jason,
is
Jason, honey, mommy doesn't
wow.
like that.
That no, that's actually like blowing my mind. Like, wow.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like I have a kind of funky belief system that we can get into some other time, but I I think that there are these moments in your life that you sort of hold on to, and you hold on to them
Yeah.
because they have a lesson for you. And
Yeah.
sometimes you don't get to know what that lesson is for decades. And so, and I didn't, I hadn't built that belief system in its entirety at that point in time. I had no reason to do it. I just sort of like had noticed that, like, I'm still thinking about this weeks later. Like, why is this sitting here? And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, it's there. Leave it alone. Let it sit and do its thing, and eventually I'll know why. But yeah, it's a sharp, like it's one of those like in inside out language. It's a core memory, and it really is just this like moment of understanding that I didn't understand everything that was going on, and understanding that there are tons and tons and times in our everyday life, right? I mean, we just go through life, like we just sort of live our life and we see things. And it's so easy to see them through the lens of our own experience and say, oh, that person's on the street corner begging for money because they made bad choices. And I'm sorry, but at least 90% of your success in life is based on freaking luck. Like, but for a change in luck, and I'm not saying that you don't play the hand you're dealt to the best of your ability. And you acknowledge that you were dealt a hand and other people are dealt a different hand.
Mhm.
And hopefully they're all playing to the best of their ability. But this entire narrative that we have in our country around pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and like the self-made man, and I mean it's just BS, right? Like take credit for the work you've done and also acknowledge that plenty of other people have worked harder than you and aren't where you are. And it's not
Yeah.
because they're bad humans. That got deep.
You know,
What just happened there?
I love it. You know what this reminded me of? Before I ask you, before we go into the next question, I was actually watching. Probably might send it to you. I think I posted it on link. I did post it on LinkedIn. I was
I don't
watching
think
a
I've seen
YouTube.
anything from yours like recently, so I'll have to look.
Oh, for
But
real? But yeah,
yeah.
I posted um a YouTube video this morning. Last night there was a YouTube video that stumbled on my timeline, and it was about a family living in Yakutia, Siberia.
Okay.
It's actually known to be the coldest place on Earth.
That
Nicole,
sounds pretty miserable.
71 degrees. That's how cold it gets. But
You can't even breathe in that.
here is there are about 800 people living in the village. They don't have no police. Like there's trust, there's safety. You can tell these people love the simple lifestyle. There's nothing right or wrong about the alternative, but I think what really warmed my heart was the kindness, the warmth, the humor. And the narrator said something that, based on what you said, that made me remember. She said, there is no bad weather, there's just weather and your attitude towards it. That's
Yeah.
life. There's
Yeah.
no bad life.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, just hold up. Somebody in Siberia living in a minus 71.
So, have I ever told you this? This feels like the kind of thing I would have told you, but so if I have, stop me. But I have this like absolutely ludicrously over the top metaphor that I, 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 I started saying it out of frustration. I was in the middle of an argument with my husband, uh, and I basically was like, "Listen, dude, like life is life. Maybe your life is a river of shit. Maybe it is. Cool. You still have a choice. You can focus on the turds that are floating past your nose, or you can look around for the little stones and logs that help you get your head above the water. You're still in a river of shit. It still sucks. Own the fact that it sucks, and that's fine, and keep working to get out of the river. And your experience in the river depends on what you focus on. Like I don't care that like there's toxic positivity, right? There's like blaming the person for ending up in the river and being like, well, if you were just a little bit happier, you wouldn't be in that river. No, that's bullshit. And there's also the acknowledgement that you do have power and you do have control. I mean, like I am a huge fan of Viktor Frankl's work and all of the work that he did around like your your control over your own reactions. And you know, yeah, there's things where you get tangled up and if you don't seek out help, then you're going to stay stuck. But you have the choice to seek out help. And, you know, maybe you don't have access to some sort of bougie med spa where you go for like 3 weeks and they dope you up on ketamine and you have like a world class psychologist and all the things. But, you know, like learn about something like journal speak or, you know, like there's a ton of things that can make better whatever you have going on. Like, yeah, you're not going to fix altered chemistry by journaling. You're not. But you can make the altered chemistry just a smidge better. So,
Yeah. Uh,
I don't know. It's a hard line though, right? Because you don't want to be that
it
person
is.
who's like I mean it's judgy to talk about like positivity and mindset and all these things, and there's still benefit. There's a ton of science around it working. And so I don't know, what are you paying attention to, the rocks or the turds?
That's a good one. What you paying attention? Focus thoughts is our currency, right? What do we keep focusing on,
Focus is our
kind of just,
currency. I
yeah.
love that. What are you spending on today? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I make my sister crazy because like she'll call me and she'll be like, I've had the worst day, and I'm like, did you have a bad day or did you have a bad 5 minutes and you've been milking it all day? And she's like, oh, you're the worst. Why do I call you? And I'm like, I don't know. This is what you're gonna get out of me.
Did you? Wow. This reminded me of something that someone said to me. You can you can have bad moments, right? Don't let that define your whole day.
Yeah.
Like,
Feel the
it's
feeling.
okay.
Don't pretend it's not there. There's science behind this. You might know this one. Like you feel like a feeling or an emotion for around 90 seconds,
Yes.
as long as you don't try to suppress it.
Yes.
Yeah. So like
That is
feel it,
very fucking spot on. 90
right?
seconds.
Yeah. I'm fucking furious. Okay, I'm gonna do that for 90 seconds. Like, but
Yes. And I think, oh my God, that is so like, and I think most of it took me a while to really, once I started to understand like the neuroscience behind it, it took me a while to realize, yeah, there are thoughts that influences my identity, and my identity influences my behavior, which creates my reality. But in between that, there is a gap. That gap is if I get triggered again, I have a choice.
mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to identify this emotion. Let me just sit with this shit for 90 seconds. Like,
Yep.
and
And
it's
and if
very
you
small.
if you really really have to, like you have to get your shit together because someone else is depending on you. You
Right.
have to. Here's my magic trick, and I learned this accidentally. I learned it because of my older son. Sing the ABCs. Sing it out loud. It
Okay.
turns out that the pacing of the alphabet, the way we sing it in the US, I'm sure there are different tunes. It's to the tune of Twinkle Twinkle in the US. If you want to sound less crazy, maybe sing Twinkle Twinkle. Or it turns out you can sing the entirety of the Brown Bear book up to the very end to the tune of Twinkle Twinkle also. But that pacing of that specific song regulates your breathing, like deactivates like vagal stimulation or some sort of sciencey crap, and it calms you down. And I learned this because when my son was in the middle of an active meltdown and I needed to get him out of, his little lizard brain and back into his prefrontal cortex. And, he's 4. So the ABCs is something he actually knows. I would start singing the ABCs. And around the letter K, I would start expanding the space between the letters. And waiting for him to fill in the blanks, right? Like if I give him room to fill in the next letter. And then he would join in with me. And then the prefrontal cortex starts activating again. And then he's back with me. And then we can reason. And then we can move forward. But while he's completely freaking out, while he's completely melting down, he's not in charge. There's no planning. There's no cognitive, like, oh Lord, I just lost like executive functioning there. Like
Right.
it's not there. And what I discovered is that I couldn't join him in panic if I was singing the ABCs. Because at the
Mm.
point in time that he is in the middle of a storm, it is not my job to join him in the storm. It is my job to be calm and be still and be a lighthouse. And he is, my husband calls him an emotional barometer. Like you cannot fake it with that kid. You cannot fake calm and expect him to calm down. He will join
Wow.
you in the intensity of whatever emotion you are feeling, and then he will
Wow.
ramp it up times 10. So we had to find a way to get ourselves calm and regulated so that we could be that port for him. So the ABCs, like just start singing.
Whoa. You learn every day.
It's such a weird trick. I mean, I have literally been like in the middle of the grocery store being like A, B, C. I'm sure people thought I was nuts. Whatever. I'll never see them again. And if I do, they'll be like, oh, you're that weird lady who sings the ABCs. And I'll be like, yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
me.
okay.
Yeah, that's me. Here I am. What's up?
Oh,
Did you learn
man.
something?
I did learn something, girl. Oh my gosh. That is so beautiful. It's so interesting how just having someone who has presence and a regulated, like a safe space can help the other person kind of like center back to their prefrontal cortex and be like, oh, okay, okay, I'm in my body, but you just need that space, you know.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for doing that for him. Like, thank you.
It works the other way around too. Believe me, I've completely messed it up. I've had days where I am just like, nope. And it's funny, I can almost feel myself being rebellious in my own brain. Like, I'm not going to be calm for you today. Today is my turn to be messed up and angry, and I'm just going to have a moment, and I'm human, and I am allowed to have feelings, and blah, blah, like just like a real sort of my own sort of meltdown day. And it usually happens like I often think you are given children who will give you lessons and are also somewhat designed to push your own buttons. And I need more personal space than most people. I have a larger than average bubble. My older son doesn't believe in personal space, and he's incredibly loving and will give you upwards of like 70 to 100 kisses in an hour. And it turns out there is
Wow.
such a thing as too much love. And I was just like, dude, I need you to stop touching me. Like, I am so overwhelmed right now. And then
Yeah.
once I start getting overwhelmed, then he starts getting overwhelmed, and then he starts getting more needy and more touchy, and it just spirals out of control.
Whoa.
Doesn't work. Those ABCs are your friend.
ABCs
You
are
got
your
you got to build. And the thing is, like, you can't think about it in the moment, right? Like, you have to have things that are
Yeah.
a habit. And so we have done
Right.
that little ABC thing. The number of times I've just been in my car singing the ABCs with him, because we're building habits together
Yes.
that give us access when our lizard brain is in charge.
Yes. So micro moments of safety, right? Just
Yeah.
tiny.
Oh, I love that. Like, microdosing safety. I'm going to start using that. Microdosing
Wow.
regulation.
Yes. That's the only way, right? You can't because if you do it all at once, it's so overwhelming to the nervous system that we shut down. You just have to like, baby steps your way into it.
Yeah.
That's how I don't know, that's what's worked for me in my life.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like, I don't know when your birthday is, like what month you're in, but there's like all
March.
of this science. Oh, okay. I don't know March specifically. I don't have anyone like who
Okay.
is in that realm, but there's all this research about like the time of year you're born because of like the different sounds you were exposed to, or the different
Oh.
seasons and the way the lighting was. So they've done a ton of research, and May is the one I know a lot about because my birthday's in May, and I'm selfish like that. And babies who are born in May because of like the lighting in like August through October, and like something about the timing of like our development or something. I don't know the science. We are we have more like something like 30% more mirror neurons in our brains, and that causes an increase in empathy. And so for me, it's a heck of a lot easier to join him in the madness than it is to
Um,
be like, okay, no, he's losing it, and like I need to be calm. But,
right.
and I don't know if this is a May thing, a Taurus thing, a me thing, I don't know. What I can tell you is that the like dopamine check mark when I manage to like pull him out and like co-regulate with him, and like, I mean, it's like a freaking drug. And like it's the motivator though, right? Like, it's not like,
Wow.
oh, I'm this like great self-sacrificing person. No, like I get some serious dopamine out of like winning that battle against his
Oh,
emotions, right? Like, oh,
wow.
I won today. Cool. Look how grown up I am. I don't know what I have in my fridge, and the lettuce looks suspicious, but I am adulting with power today.
Oh my God, you are so freaking beautiful. Ah, I love it. Thank you, man. I do want to say this. I do want to ask you one last question. So we all have peak and valley moments in our lives, right? So when Nicole is going through a valley moment, what do you have any quotes, like how do you navigate yourself through your valley moments?
So I think it's sitting over on the counter right now, but I have this post-it note that I wrote a half a billion years ago. I've rewritten it a few times, and it's an Ethiopian proverb, and it's don't curse God for creating the tiger. Thank him for not giving it wings. And
Say that again. Could you say that again, please?
don't don't curse God for creating the tiger. Thank him for not giving it wings. And like, it's sort of this like it could always be worse moment.
Yeah.
But also, like, for me, I am really, again, I just sort of like made up my own belief system, and then discovered that most of it exists in Kabbalah, which has been around for thousands and thousands of years. So, I made it up and then found it. So, whatever. I'm still taking credit for making it up. But I have this core belief that we choose the things that are going to be hard in our life because they're something that is meant to teach us something. And so it's not just the like generic like, oh, what did you learn from this hard thing? But like that's where your agency and your power is. You actually chose that hard thing because it was tied to something you valued learning. And for me, I think my lesson in this life is that I don't get to be in charge and I don't necessarily need to be in charge. And so most of the hardest things in my life were around that lesson. And probably the hardest thing I've ever lived through was my son's diagnosis of Fragile X. And just the sort of, I was that like utterly paranoid pregnant person who like wouldn't eat deli meat. And like I followed all the rules. And I followed all the rules because I had this like conviction that if anything went wrong, like quotes wrong, that I couldn't be blamed. And then it turns out I'm a carrier of a genetic disorder. And so, theoretically you could, you can't, like, you don't know, you don't like, there's not really blame to assign, but if you were being mean, you could. And I was like, oh, cool. But also, during that pregnancy, I read every single book I could get my hands on, every single article. I watched all these YouTube videos. There is no history of intellectual disorder in my family that we know of. And I read everything. I devoured on attachment parenting and autism. I had no reason to suspect I was going to need that information. I didn't know there was anything going on with Elijah for the first, like, he was 8 months old when I went to the doctor and said, I think there's something going on. And yet I parented as if there was something going on. I didn't put that child down for the first 5 months of his life. Like, I wouldn't take a shower if there wasn't someone to hold him. And, I mentioned earlier, he is incredibly loving. That is not always the case with children like mine. In fact, it is not uncommon to have fits of rage and violence. And he's incredibly attached, incredibly connected, incredibly loving. And so that was a big part for me of like, not only what lesson did I learn from this, what have I gained as a result of this difficult experience, but also what tools did I have because of prior difficult experiences and because of that like premonition. And that's how I've always explained premonition is if you choose the things that are going to be hard in your life, when you have that premonition moment and you start like preparing, even though you don't have a reason to prepare, like it's just something you get to kind of take with you between it's the like the deja vu or the like I said, the premonition. And so I think for me it really is this, what skill, what strength, what tool is this giving me that I'm going to need? That was a really long answer.
I it was a beautiful answer, my friend. Oh my goodness. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Nicole. I truly appreciate you sharing beautiful parts of yourself. Thank you once again for taking time out to me, to hang out with me and just really share your beautiful perspective, your truth, your wisdom. Thank you. Thank you for being kind. Thank you for being compassionate. Thank you for being human. I think for me that's like top tier quality that I really admire about people. Every other thing is just icing on the cake. Thank you for choosing when you can to be a fucking human being. I think if more of us can just be a fucking human being as often as you remember. And when I mean human being, I mean messy. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to say, fuck this shit. I don't know what to do. And
Yeah.
that's okay. That's
Yeah.
what I
Well,
mean by human.
I know we are well over time, and I want to thank you for like doing this podcast and bringing all of these people who have all these like incredible experiences and like really highlighting what makes us human. I think as a species, maybe the dolphins have origin myths. I don't know. We don't speak their language, but I think we are the only animal that spend our entire lives trying to suppress the animal that we are. Like, what is that? And then you, as you get older, you start to reconnect with humanity and reconnect and understand that who you are isn't bad inherently. I mean, we built entire religions around the idea that humanity is bad. What are we doing to
Yeah.
ourselves?
Yeah. Oh my
So
goodness. You, you, I don't know if you know who Alan Watts is or if you ever heard
I
about
think I
his
know that
name before.
name.
But and because you like sarcasm, I think you will thoroughly enjoy. No, I'm serious. You will
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoy Alan Watts' perspective on life. He's a I'll call him a humorous trickster. He's also a philosopher, but he blends sarcasm
Uh huh.
and life and like, don't you see that you're taking this shit so serious? But he will also tell you like, hey, even not taking it seriously, you also got to take it like the balance. But I feel like maybe typing Alan Watts on YouTube. I don't know why I said it, but I feel like you
Yeah, I'll
would
have to
really fuck with
look.
Alan Watts because of your
The
sarcastic side of you. But
That was
thank
actually
you.
why I always like George Carlin, because he like has that sort of sarcastic, like just call it like it is sort of humor. I mean, he has some things that were problematic, but but yeah, he's
Oh,
funny.
okay. That makes sense. That makes so much sense. Oh man, Nicole, you're a beautiful fucking human being. Thank you. I
So are
fucking
you.
appreciate you. And I do want to say this. Thank you for being kind. I don't know why it's coming up again. Thank you for being kind. Thank you for being human. Thank you. I know I said this before, I'll say it again. This means way more to me than any other thing. This really made up my day. So thank you for sharing parts of yourself with me with so much honesty and openness. Thank you. And I know I also complimented your beautiful pearl necklace before I press record. I just want to say that again. If you're listening to this, Nicole is wearing a beautiful pearl necklace. So thank you for just being you. And for every beautiful person listening to this, once it gets dark, once it gets confusing, come back to some compassion and kindness for yourself.
Thank you.